Hello and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where I'll take you on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions. Like you, I want answers. There's a lot to this world than most think or believe. Mysteries that stretch back into murky epochs of time that hint of other realms, other worlds, and other intelligences. We're on this journey together. With each episode, we will peel away the layers to look for the truth. Even today, many parts of the Middle East lie shrouded in mysteries, legend, and lore that span deep into lost epochs of history. Much is still unknown and undiscovered where the deserts and mountain ranges are concerned, with their inhospitable landscapes and ancient ruined cities. From stories of the Jinni and the Shaitan to cursed relic monuments, UFO sightings, giants, ancient witchcraft, and so much more. There's a lot to cover today in this episode of the Mysteries of the Middle East. However, before we get started, I want to let everyone know that much of what we will cover in today's show is speculative, anecdotal, and based on legends and unconfirmed reports. Not all, but a lot. This show today is about the mysteries, so keep that in mind. We will be discussing the possibilities and the details that are available. Now, let me bring in my co host, Jimmy Church of Fade to Black Radio. Jimmy, how's it going?
Yeah, man.
How's it going today?
Well, I'm wearing my Hellfire Club shirt.
Oh, no way.
In preparation for this because it's the Middle East. It's hot. See the thing, Christina. You're too famous for me now. And okay, so enough of that. Here's the thing. Another great week, great subjects. And you kind of bummed me out with your intro going, it's kind of anecdotal. It's kind of based on, no, man, are you telling me Aladdin's not real? Don't mess with my head. That was a great movie. And
The original. I haven't seen the remake.
what's the remake?
The one with Will Smith as the genie.
The first one was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So good.
Yeah, I've seen them both. What about I Dream of Jeannie? That TV series was a documentary, right? It was featured on Netflix. See,
I haven't seen it.
Oh man, that's it. You can't say it's anecdotal. You just can't. Genie's in a bottle, 3 wishes. All right, this is. I've based my life around this, man. Don't blow it. But the conversation that we had earlier this week, talking about this, and and I just go through my mind's eye, and I was giving you some things, right? Pop, 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 and there is so much going on out there, and
It's insane.
yeah, it is. One of the things that I had shared with Christina didn't make the list. And I think that one of the reasons why it didn't make the list is not that it wasn't a great story or event, because it was public and it was on TV and things, was this ancient alien Anunnaki base in southern Iraq. And that it was announced by the government, and it was a historical site, and the reports. But again, just like anything else, when you go into this, what are the facts of the case? And maybe that's what derailed it from the list. And I get that, but it's things like that alien, 10,000-year-old Anunnaki airport that was discovered in southern Iraq is just one of many. I mean, just hundreds, if not thousands, of histories, history with the mystery.
Mysteries with a history.
Yeah, just stop with that. too early. I'm only on my second cup of coffee today. But you know what I mean? It is all over the place. It is so old. It's the dawn of man, as we know, and the stuff that has been going on out there, goes back 5, 10,000 years, if not more.
That is so true. And there's one thing I do want to mention before we get into the nitty gritty of today's topic, and that's to say hello to Miss Anne Blackmore. She and her husband Rob have been amazing supporters of this channel on our show. So, Jimmy, could you please do the honors of saying a big Jimmy hello to Anne Blackmore?
I love Anne. Anne and I go way back. Rob, not so much, but that is just incredible and such an honor for me to just say Anne like that. It is just an honor and a privilege. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Rob. And now that's an official. That's a real shout out.
There
Yeah,
you go.
you know
So,
what? That is for me an unpaid endorsement.
well, now we can officially start the show. And the first thing that I want to mention is what the Quran says about extraterrestrials. So
Ooh.
I have a few quotes here from the Quran, which is the holy book for the Muslims. And one of them being is all praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds. And that's just one. I think that one right there is pretty profound to state Lord of all worlds, not just Earth, but we're looking at a bunch of other locations. But there's more to that. It continues. It is responsible to suppose that life in some form or another is scattered through some of the millions of heavenly bodies scattered through space.
Mm.
Life is not confined to the earth. It is indicated in this verse that life in some form or another is existing in the millions of heavenly bodies scattered through space. The Almighty has created such a countless beings. Surely has the power to bring them together with the when the trumpet is blown.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Really? Really? And I thought the Mormon church had all that dialed in, but
Well,
apparently not, right?
well, the translation literally means other worlds
Mhm.
apart from this earth when they're saying the term worlds. And I've read in the comments before when we briefly touched on Islam, where people have stated, well, the Islamic faith, they believe in aliens. It's in the Quran. So I had to go and take a look, and they were absolutely correct, which I do want to mention that today's show was inspired by a fan. I got a message that said, "Hey, you should do the mysteries of the Middle East." And I said, "Yeah, I'll write that down." Turns out it happened to be this week. So I do want to say thank you so much to those that give us great ideas, and this one's a pretty fascinating one. Look, all of our shows are, but I got to say it every time.
I know, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And the thing is, you're only as good as your last show, right? And they just
Yeah,
get
and
better
never watch your last show either.
ever, ever, ever. I've never seen myself or listened to myself ever. Ever, ever. If people, are probably going, same thing with you, Christina, right now. No, no, I know. No, I've never watched any of Christina's. I haven't seen anything from anybody else either. But to be honest with you, but my stuff, no, no,
I have when I first started to kind of get a feel of how I wanted to improve, and I just cringed every time. But that is not
It's
what today's topic is about. So let's continue.
hold on,
When
hold on a minute, hold on, let's stay right there because this is when a show host goes and listens to their last show, right? This, bar none, man, I suck, right? That's all that's what goes through your mind. It's
that
depressing.
or I sound like that?
Yeah, right,
But
right.
but let's when we talk about the Middle East, or usually when a lot of people think of the Middle East, one thing that comes to mind are the Jinn. So I think we should continue with that. First, we mentioned the Quran. Now let's talk about the Jinn, which is mentioned in this holy book. So throughout the centuries, long before the time of pharaohs and kings, Jinn were the rulers of the universe. God created them before humans, and when one of their tribe Jinn members, Shaitan, disobeyed God, they were thrown out of heaven to earth. There are 12 types of Jinn, from animal type Jinn to more giant type demonic entities. And
Mm,
they are perceived as an invisible entity that was created from smokeless fire. These creatures are known to have similar motivations and needs to that of humans. They also eat and drink and have the ability to give birth. They are also subject to a life cycle, although they were able to live much longer than humans. And although they are mostly similar to humans, they are known to be much faster and stronger as well. Although they can live anywhere on the planet, they prefer deserts, ruins, and places of impurity like graveyards, garbage dumps, bathrooms, camel pastures, and hashish dens.
mm. Most of my friends are obviously Jinn. See, but, okay, now we're going to discuss genies too as well. Is there in your research, because I've always thought that there must be a connection here. How is Jinn pronounced in the Middle East? Certainly in the modern sense, but in a classic sense too, as well. Number one, was it Gene and not Jinn? But then we have genie and the similarities. Is the etymology connected here? And are genies an extension or a westernized version of the Jinn?
Well, we're going to get into that because I actually found a story of where the genie lore started. But first, before we do that, Michael, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, the Quran is misunderstood by the West. I speak about this with my Islamic friends and they talk about this topic. Interesting. But I do want to say when it comes to the what you talked about, is it pronounced jinn or genie? And to my understanding, in Arabic, it's called genie.
See, so are we? When you see, Will Smith or the Robin Williams version of Aladdin and the genie. This is a story that goes back in folklore. This
Yeah,
is
sorry, I didn't mean to say genie. It's Ginny. Excuse
Jenny.
me,
Well,
Ginny.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. In that, are we looking at a westernized version of some of the stories that go back a long way concerning the Jenny or the Jinn, and are they the same thing? So we'll discuss this further, but it's always been on my mind where people want to talk about the Jinn, and nobody really wants to talk about genies in the same context. And is it because they are different? And I don't know. Yeah, that's awesome right there. That's why, have you, okay, let's get started. Let me ask you this, Christina, and I always ask you where the ideas came from for this week. And you just told us it came from a listener. But have you, have you dreamed about getting the lamp, rubbing the lamp, getting your three wishes, and what would those three wishes be? Come on.
No, I
Close.
have seen enough shows that go against the story where it never ends well. There's a new movie coming out about I think it's literally called Genie, and I could be wrong, but it's about this woman, this elderly woman who has three wishes, but the genie had informed her that it never goes well. Something bad always happens. And so I've been told that from a very young age as well, watching these TV shows and even my parents talking about it as well, where they're like, don't just don't have any wishes at all for the
Yeah,
better.
well, see, but everybody wants to hit a home run with the wish, right? Some crazy, I want to be the richest person in the world. I want to be the most famous person in the world.
Then
I
you're
want,
gonna have a target on your back,
right.
right? Yeah,
Go,
no
go
thanks.
small, go small. Just
Yeah.
test the water a little bit. Just like I would like an A in algebra, right? Just go small and see how it plays out. You know what I mean? Instead of, I want to be the most famous movie star, right? I want to be the most famous singer. I want to, you hit for the fences and you're going to have some problems. You're right though. The third wish is always undo everything.
Yes. That
The third wish.
seems to be the case. Well, here is the legend to that story, and one that I wasn't familiar with. So, King Solomon used a magic ring to control Jinn and to protect him from them. The ring was set with a gem, probably a diamond, that had a living force of its own. With the ring, Solomon branded the necks of the Jinn as his slaves. One story tells that a jealous Jinn stole the ring while Solomon bathed in the river Jordan. The Jinn seated himself on Solomon's throne at his palace and reigned over his kingdom, forcing Solomon to become a wanderer. God compelled the Jinn to throw the ring into the sea. Solomon retrieved it and punished the Jinn by imprisoning him in a bottle. Now, according to another story, Solomon took Jinn to his crystal paved palace where they sat at tables made of iron. The Quran tells how the king made them work at building palaces and making carpets, ponds, statues, and gardens. Whenever Solomon wanted to travel to a faraway place, the Jinn carried him on their back. Solomon forced the Jinn to build the Temple of Jerusalem and all of the cities as well.
Is that right?
Yes, so it was a pretty interesting story.
Now, what about uh, flying carpets?
I
And
guess that has to do with what I had just mentioned, but we have one comment here that says, I am Arabic, Jinn as Jimmy pronounced it first. And I do want to say, from what I understand in Arabic, Jinni is the singular and the plural is Jinn. So that
ah,
was my
okay,
understanding of that.
okay. Um, and here's another way to look at this, at least with me, Christina, is that the idea behind some of this magic and the things that were happening behind it, whether it was building cities, building countries, protecting kingdoms, flying carpets, powers, the granting of wishes, also bad stuff too as well. It seems like it went out into Greek mythology. It went across Europe and some of these things that were part of the Middle East and the story of the Jinn just went through pop culture and it exists today. And the flying machines, going back to say the Vimanas, these things were everywhere. When, if you think about it, where does the thought of a flying machine come from 3,000 years ago, right? 2,000 years ago, when there's nothing flying in the sky but birds. And is there something else to this? And that includes the ability to construct and technology and everything else. I've always found that fascinating. And we call it folklore and mythology, and fiction. And I'm not so sure sometimes that is the case.
No, and that would make me question, what's the point of telling a story for generations where you have to perfect the oral traditions just because it's a legend? I mean, yes, you can learn, there are morals attached to a lot of the stories that come with legends, but at the same time, they have to again perfect it where it's word for word that their ancestors told their grandparents, their parents on to them. It cannot be changed. It's an art form. And if it wasn't important, if it was just a fun little story, then the oral traditions would have died long ago. But
Mhm.
if they were believed to be based on fact, well, then you would have a different mentality on attempting to remember those stories that were told by your parents, grandparents, and so on.
Yeah, and here's the other part. We just talked about Aladdin and Disney and Robin Williams, but I would say that the TV series I Dream of Jeannie that ran back in the '60s did so much to teach us about some of this oral history that has been handed down and handed down. Now it was a comedy series and it was fun, it was cute, and and hijinks and all of that, but it also taught me a lot about the history of it, which again it goes through to today. I think we will always be fascinated with the Jinn and the genies and oil lamps and wishes and magical powers and the dangers of be careful of what you wish for.
And we're going to get a little more into that because there's some very fascinating things when it comes to witchcraft in the Middle East. But thank you so much, Nature Cam HD. You are so kind. And I keep meaning to get it started, but like I'm so super swamped and I'm always like playing catch up. But I will get that done soon so that we can create some just awesome content. Oh, and thank you so much for becoming a channel member as well, Nature Cam. Really
Yeah, very
appreciate
cool,
that.
very cool. Well, I've picked out my trailer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know where I'm getting it. I know which one. Another friend of mine, his name is Adrian. Everybody knows who Adrian is. He's getting one too. So we're going to have matching trailers. He's got a pickup truck. I've got the Jeep. He's going gray. I'm going black.
Of
Surprise.
course.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Come
So
on.
we're lining this up. So Christina, you can't fall asleep here.
I
We got
won't.
a
It's gonna
caravan.
happen.
Yeah.
There is no hesitation there. It will happen. But right before that, we were talking about the Jinn, Genie, Ginny, and about witchcraft. Jessica, thank you. As always, thank you so much. And what I found really interesting that I had no idea about is first off, what we do know is that a lot of the Islamic population believes in jinn and Ginny, right? And some people go to witches and sorcerers to remove jinn from people's home if they're seeing any weird paranormal activity. Well, turns out sorcery is forbidden by Islam because it is said to reflect a disbelief in Allah and the reliance on satanic rituals. The prohibition includes fortune tellers and magicians, although there is a debate as to what constitutes a magician. The BBC has reported that authorities in Saudi Arabia have also beheaded men and women on charges of sorcery. According to the Jerusalem Post, even Harry Potter books are forbidden in the country as the entire story pertains to magic. But it's even weirder, Jimmy.
Hmm.
Saudi Arabia even has a religious police called the Committee for the Promotion of Virtue and the Prevention of Vice, also known as the CPVPV.
We we've got that here in the United States under about 20 other names. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Isn't if we look at we're going to be talking about Mecca here in a bit, one of the most fascinating parts of the Middle East. And the stories, the origin stories and the statements in the Quran and the other mythology in and around the Middle East, which is again, it's worldwide. Yeah, isn't it a little paradoxical or hypocritical to have a vice squad right against this when Certainly, Jinn building cities throughout the Middle East. That's some black magic sorcery, isn't it?
It's a little bit confusing, that's for sure, but you definitely don't want to be caught doing any type of magic because there are consequences. And this is consistent throughout the Middle East, including Afghanistan and Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and a few other countries as well, where there will be arrests, executions, and deportation as well. Deranged Lunatic, thank you so much for the super sticker. And well, the Islamic ruled nations, I mean, like the government they're not democracies. So the government is in the Islamic religion. So
So
it
let me understand this. Um, I'm in my hotel in Riyadh, right, in Saudi Arabia. I'm just saying, right, and I just downloaded Will Smith and Aladdin on my phone, and I'm watching the movie in my hotel room. And the next day, I'm talking about it, drinking tea, and suddenly I get arrested, and I'm told that they're going to chop my head off because I watched Aladdin. Now, I understand the Will Smith aspect; that's worthy of a beheading, but right, where's the line? I'm not allowed to enjoy a movie about flying carpets.
well,
You know,
keep in
is that
mind the
sorcery?
internet there is very heavily controlled and filtered.
Oh,
So it wouldn't be that easy.
that's why I said I downloaded it on my phone. That's why I said that. Yeah, that I'm bringing in right. I'm bringing in sorcery into the country, and I keep going back to I Dream of Jeannie. I think it's fascinating because it's so much a part of their culture, but yet they're trying to erase that part of their culture too as well. It's strange, and it's fun.
In
It's fun. What is dark? What is dark about it? I don't understand.
Well, I can go ahead and attempt to answer that for you. In January of 2008, Afghan religious leaders banned dozens of traditional fortune tellers. In 2010, the Islamic group Hamas, ruling the Gaza Strip, conducted a campaign against witchcraft in the area, arresting 150 women who were then forced to sign confessions and statements renouncing the practice. According to this group, the activities of these women represent a real social danger, also because they risk breaking up families, causing divorce, and wasting away money. In addition to the arrests, Hamas placed large anti witchcraft posters at mosques, universities, and government offices, warning women against magical practices and providing information to the residents wishing to accuse their neighbors of the crime. In August of 2010, the campaign escalated to violence when a 62-year-old woman known as a traditional healer was murdered in front of her house by unidentified men after she was accused by her neighbors of practicing witchcraft. So witchcraft is a big deal there. People pay big money for witches to cast curses and spells on people. And people travel from Syria, Jordan, other Arab nations to Egypt just to find highly paid witches to place curses on people anywhere else in the world.
Brian Young just said they would arrest you for your witchcraft eyes.
Thank you so much for the super sticker, Brian.
Now, okay. Can we move on? We've got too much to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead. Where do you want to take this carriage?
Man, I am just wrestling control of this rock star show. I apologize for that. But if I push it too far, you just wrote me back in. Okay, Christina, just let me know that I've crossed the line.
You
Let's,
got it.
I mean, can we talk about the giant of Kandahar?
Absolutely. Go ahead and get started, and I'm going to share a picture.
Well, okay, you got a picture.
I do.
The story about this, when it broke loose on the internet, I mean, I jumped all over it. And there were all kinds of stories coming out of Iraq at the time and Afghanistan. And it was just nuts. And all the way over, actually, during the same time period, into Jerusalem and so forth. So this is said to have taken place in 2002. And during Operation Enduring Freedom, where the Marines were fighting the Taliban in Kandahar province, and they got into a battle with this 13-foot red-headed giant and killed him. And now there was a couple of whistleblowers that came forward. One of them was known as Mr. K. He said that the giant was 13 feet tall with fiery red hair, 6 fingers, and two sets of teeth. Right? And it even killed one of the special forces soldiers with a spear, through a spear. And the rest of the unit brought it down with 30 straight seconds, count to 30, of unending gunfire, sustained gunfire. And after they radioed it in, the Army took away its corpse, and it has been hidden away from the public ever since.
It's such an extremely bizarre story. And to my understanding, it was released by L.A. Marzulli, correct?
Yes. L.A. Marzulli. And now during
Which
this
is, I mean, which I do want to mention, like, he has the stance that this giant could have possibly been a Nephilim. Now, I did see something that I do want to bring to Jimmy, your attention, everyone else's attention. And my question is, do you think my pronunciation is bad? I mean, like, I focus on it a lot to, like, offset my verbal dyslexia, so please, in the live chat, let me know. Jimmy, let me know.
Oh,
Is my pronunciation
stop
bad?
with that. It's an enduring quality if it does exist. Man,
Thank you.
stop with that. Stop with that. Give
You're
me
so
more,
kind.
Christina.
Yeah.
I'll give you something to mess up. So I say things incorrect all the time. And I've gone through entire episodes saying one word incorrectly. And I was just watching this video clip today. This will make you feel better. What's his name? Doctor Strange. What's the guy that plays Doctor Strange?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch. I can't say his name, but he just did this documentary. Okay, a
Oh,
nature
about the penguin?
penguins, right? And so he says like 25 times in the documentary, penwings. And once you say it wrong, and why the director or whoever did the recording of the narration didn't go back and fix that. So now that is a permanent, he'll never say it correctly again. He said that he's afraid of the word. You know, it's so funny. So come on, Christina. Nobody gives a crap, man. Nobody gives
Oh,
a
that one is so funny. That's how I feel with the word nuclear. I have to say it really slow, otherwise I'll say nuclear like, Bill Clinton.
No, not
And
Bill Clinton. It was Bush. It
was
was
it Bush? Yes. And so I have to, like, be really careful.
nuclear. No,
Nuclear.
how did he say it?
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
That's how I say it, which is, like, terrible, so I'm trying
So
to, like, fix that,
nobody
but
gives a crap.
with this story about this giant, what's amazing, and you had pointed into great detail, was that it took 30 seconds of rapid fire just to take down this beast, and what's even stranger about this story was how they first came across this giant. And so it was mentioned in that interview with L.A. Marzulli that there were a lot of men that would go up this mountain and they would just disappear. So when they wouldn't radio back to the troop below the mountain, they were like, "What's going on? Let's send some more people and check it out because we can't lose our men." And that's when they found this pretty big cave where there was a bunch of military equipment. And then they saw this giant, literally a giant humanoid type creature, and it threw a spear at one of the military men. And then from there, that's when they did that 30-second rapid fire, and they took the giant back to the base where it went on a Chinook helicopter and it was never seen again.
Well, there are so many reports of, and I did a few shows on this where the not only the military and the Marines and these expeditionary forces and stuff that were going through Afghanistan and Iraq, there are these World Heritage sites. Number one, two, there were active archaeological digs that were going on before the war started and going back, for 50 years. Universities out there, the mythical city of Ur, and on and on and on and on, where they were finding these incredible artifacts, some of them truly biblical. The search for
Yeah.
possibly these holy grail type of, the Ark of the Covenant, stargates, on and on and on. And there were reports of around these different dig sites of UFO activity, shooting down, and I've seen a lot of video, and this went on and on and on. Now, we have to think about, because for me, how old are these sites that we're talking about? What was going on for the last 20 years? How about the war that was going on around Göbekli Tepe? Right there, Syria, Turkish border. Now that it's only in Turkey because of an imaginary line, right? A couple of miles south, you're in Syria. But what about all of the other sites all over Syria that were getting blown up and bombed, and they were trying to protect it? And it was the same thing along the Turkish border. This went on all over Afghanistan and all over Iraq, going in to get these artifacts out, and what were they discovering? And we heard these stories all over and over again, like Saddam Hussein and the Stargate.
It's unbelievable, and you just touched on the word Stargate. Should we get into that,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
let's do it. Let's go Stargate.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here. This one, it leans more to the conspiracy theory, as there really is absolutely no evidence that Saddam Hussein had any connection or any evidence of a Stargate, but it's a rather interesting thing to at least consider when talking about the Middle East. And it truly is a mystery with a history. So that's obviously why we're going to go ahead and cover it today. So, what we're looking at here, and I do want to mention that this story is all over the internet. You can type in Saddam Hussein and Stargate, and you're going to find a bunch of stories and a lot of forums as well. But he was supposedly planning an alien invasion to destroy each and every man on Earth. This teleport device and these types of teleport devices and outer space type things have always been part of a great deal in human politics. So these claims were a big part of the theory that around 200 aliens known as Nephilim rebelled against their superiors. So then the USA and Britain contracted Saddam and the Stargate, which was possibly created the early civilization on Earth. And it seems that Saddam was collaborating with the alleged aliens, and the world first got distressed over the news of Saddam restoring the Ziggurat Temple in the 1980s.
Hmm.
Then the Bush administration from America comes into the picture, and then we have Michael Sala, the self styled Australian expert on exopolitics and political science on alien human interaction, was very adamant on this theory that either Saddam got the Stargate working or he found some very, very relevant information about the ancient history of the planet.
He let's take this a step further. He considered himself the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar.
That's
And
right.
now we're talking about a direct Anunnaki connection here. That's first and foremost. Second, the Nebuchadnezzar, in a weird connecting of the dots, was the name of the ship for Morpheus in the Matrix, right? And so you start to explore. Now, wait a minute, Jimmy. Stop. What I am suggesting here is that there is a lot of history when it comes to the Anunnaki and Nebuchadnezzar. Number one. Number two, this was Saddam's country. He owned the dirt, right? This was his world, and he had access to all of the Sumerian tablets, to all of the history, to all of the archaeological sites, and certainly the genealogy and the DNA of the Anunnaki. We're talking about Iraq, and he considered himself the reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar and was going to be king of the world. And he had plans for all of this. So when we say, did he have an actual Stargate? Well, he may have, but that's not the point. The point is he pursued this, and his mind was there. And the Anunnaki and the history of that, and the ET connection to all of this, Saddam was fully engaged and fully aware of all of that and was pursuing it. Now, so I will suggest this, and then I'll hand it back to you, Christina. If you had the ideas, you had the books, you had the writings, and then you take it to the next level, which is you are the dictator of the country where all of this originated. This is in your backyard. Are you going to start digging holes? You are. Are you going to go and pursue this? You are. You have access to archaeologists and universities and the research that has been applied to all of this, where you can go and pursue it. And you would, and Saddam did. And I'll just leave it there.
He spent $500 million to attempt to rebuild Babylon.
Mhm.
And his fascination was so strong that he believed that he was Nebuchadnezzar, that he had murals painted, he
Mhm.
had coins remade of
Yeah.
his face and Nebuchadnezzar right next to it, because he truly believed that he was the reincarnation. And I wanted to touch on that on the show on reincarnation, but we didn't have the time for it. So I'm really happy that you brought that up today. Um, Brian, thank you so much. It says pronunciation is fine. Really appreciate that. And Michael says, I read Hitler believed in a Stargate and had people looking for it in the Middle East.
He did. He absolutely did. And the
Thank
connection
you.
between Hitler and Saddam Hussein, direct. Okay, I'm not going to get into a Third Reich discussion here, but that goes back with Iraq all the way back to the 1930s, and the influence of Saddam and the way that he built the infrastructure of the military and the government and politics and everything else. He was right there. But putting that aside, Hitler did. This isn't just Indiana Jones, which is
Which
where I
is very cool. I mean, I
get a lot
truly
of my
had no idea that he was interested in that, and I mean, like, this all sounds crazy to me, but it's one of those mysteries that we just can't that just doesn't go away. So me, like, I need proof. I'm not going to buy into these theories, but some of the stories are very detailed and wrapped up with the Iraq war.
hmm Yeah. And so, again, if you are in a position like Saddam or Hitler is another great example, but you've got your own country, you're the dictator, and you have all the power to go and pursue and do whatever you want to, and this is what your interest is the Anunnaki and Nebuchadnezzar. You're going to go and do everything you can to figure this out. And Hitler did the same thing. He was pursuing every single mystery, paranormal, supernatural thing on planet Earth. He was all over India. He was all over the mountains throughout India. He was looking for Shangri-La. He was all over Egypt. He was all over Libya, and including Iraq and Syria, to pursue all of these artifacts, and the true cross, and it was just fascinating, including the Ark of the Covenant, and anything to do with the Anunnaki and stargates and time machines.
It goes to show that people that have a lot of power are interested in this stuff. It's not necessarily classified as too crazy. It's still a little crazy, but it goes to show that there is validity in these legends.
It's not crazy at all. If you've got 5,000-year-old Sumerian tablets, that you're digging up in town, right? Not another country, just digging it up in the next town over, which is giving you the blueprint to everything, and you own it. Are you going to pursue it? Of course you are.
Heck yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know. You laugh. I'd be right there, man. Okay, bring the Stargate up. Who's stepping through it first? Let's
You know how
go.
much digging that would be?
Oh
Oh my
man,
gosh, I'd be so tired.
I would love
And you're
it.
digging sand, and sand is a struggle to dig 'cause it just seeps back in. You
Yeah,
dig, you dig, you dig, and you go, "Doop," and it comes back.
but you're the dictator.
So you tell
Everybody,
people to do it.
right? Everybody in town, bring your bring your bucket and shovel. But yeah, absolutely. And now, one of the things that I want to get to Mecca, and I feel like
Mhm.
I'm taking control of the show, but I don't want to do. We talked about Kandahar and the
Yep.
giant of Kandahar. There was a story that broke out and video, and I went and watched the original newscast for this, which was incredible, in Afghanistan, about Marines that discovered a Vimana in a cave in Afghanistan, and 8 Marines disappeared and were never found. Now before okay, let's hand this off to the chat room for a second. How many of you watch the videos and remember this story when it broke? Because I did everything I could for weeks, if not months, chasing this story down, and all of it hinged on the original news reports on TV in Afghanistan with reporters that were out there chasing this story down. It was incredible. Christina, do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
And
Somewhat. And it was very interesting, and I'm so sorry. I was actually reading the live chat, and Nature Cam, let's pass it over to him, and he says, "Can we talk about the 1976 Iranian UAP incident?" We
no, no,
absolutely can.
no, we're not.
Yes.
We're not.
Yeah, we are.
I don't want to do
Yeah.
it. I
No,
don't
we're
want.
gonna do it anyway.
But so the Vimana, the flying machine, was discovered by a group of soldiers on a mission In the desert of Afghanistan in 2016, 8 troops were tasked with removing the machine from the cave. There are photographs of the Marines on the side of this hill cliff with this carved arch, and they're standing in the cave. They had gone missing since the Vamana's discovery. It was reported that the Vamana itself was 5,000 years old, and it was protected by, and I heard the reports over this over and over again, some kind of force field, some kind of energy barrier that was there preventing them to go through. The troops they brought in heavy equipment and tried to remove the Vamana from the cave and couldn't do it. Then there were reports. I got all of this from TV5, right, in Kabul. I've read all the translates. It's a real broadcast, but it's lengthy. And it was just fascinating that U.S. military scientists were deployed to Afghanistan to investigate the disappearance of those 8 Marines and to get more information on what was causing the Vamana to be stuck, entrapped, enveloped in this force field. That then the reports were that it was a time well inside of the cave. And now, in following up on this, the 8 Marines, unnamed, but were never found.
Can you explain what a time well is?
Okay. So a time well is when you step into it. Okay, so out here, you and I are doing everything in real time, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, inside of the time well, if you were watching me, right? I'm in the time well, you're on the outside looking in, right? So you would see me as not moving. Inside the time well, I'm doing this. Outside of it, you would observe me as not moving, and anybody else in there. Why? Because it is how do I say this? I'm not aging. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens at the event horizon of a black hole.
Fast, FTL, right, where you're achieving the speed of light. So that's
At least according to the theory of quantum gravity.
Right. And so this Vamana was inside of this time well. So when they were going in to remove it, they couldn't, because out here we're in real time. In there, it's taking thousands of years. But inside there, it's not thousands of years. They're moving the equipment around, they're hooking it up. But out here, it hasn't been hooked up yet. Right? Do you understand? And so
I do.
Yeah, that's the time well. Now, if you can go, I'll just tell everybody where to do this. Just go TV5. That's the TV channel. TV5 Vamana Marines, Afghanistan. And you can go and watch the original story and watch there's a bunch of them from TV5. There are a lot of other media sources. This was heavily covered. And it was covered as a real event, Cristina. It wasn't, this wasn't like funny haha with, the X-Files music playing in the background. No, this was. Why are you laughing at me?
Because it's not funny haha is a trend on it's a meme, and it made me laugh.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not funny haha, it's funny like Sorry, but continue. It made me a little giggle, so you caught me laughing.
Go and watch the TV5 Vamana videos of the original news broadcast as this story was breaking. And now they're speaking in, I don't know what language that is in Afghanistan. Is it Afghani, right? Is it their own language? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, so they're speaking, and you can hear them say, blah, 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 time machine, blah, 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 right? and UFO, flying object. And now we're going to go to Ahmed in Kandahar, and they cut away, and he's doing his live report, and he's on site. It's crazy. It just go and check it out. Now I don't know, and so a story like this, going back to what you said at the top of the show today, that some of this is anecdotal. This isn't. But if something is going to get squashed, right? If you are going to remove something from the public, it would be a story like this, where a Vimana from India has been found in a cave in Afghanistan, and the Marines disappeared and they can't remove it. That's a story that's not going to survive in the public. No, it's going to get squashed.
Pretty fun one. We have a super chat here. It says, "Hey, it's Jason from Baltimore." Hi, Jason from Baltimore. "This is such a specific topic that most don't dive into. Kudos for you for this. Did US take evidence out of Iraq?"
Boatloads, literally boatloads. And you know what else? You know what else got smuggled out of Iraq? Okay, they're going to shut your channel down after I say this. Are
So
you
then
ready?
don't say it. No, don't say it. No.
Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby. Look it up. So the owners of Hobby Lobby, which have built a museum in Washington, D.C., and with these biblical artifacts and things, but anyway, so the owners of Hobby Lobby, rich family. I'm just going to leave it right there. Let's not get just go and check it out. It's crazy, man. The stuff that they had on display, Anunnaki Sumerian tablets and things smuggled out of Iraq. And remember, the national museums, there's a bunch in Iraq, all of them looted, all of them just completely looted. And same thing in Syria too, as well. And that stuff goes on to and into a black antiquities market, of which is worldwide and has been there forever. If you think about all of the artifacts from Egypt and Syria and Turkey and Jordan and Israel that were Libya, that were smuggled out and given to and sold into those markets. Yeah, absolutely. So by the boatload out of Iraq.
Now, let's talk about the 1976 Tehran UFO incident. This is a pretty famous one, and one that I thought was like, whoa. But it seems this story is a very consistent trend across across the world. Excuse me. So let's talk about that one. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here of a pretty little airplane to give people a visual while we tell the story. So in 1976, the Tehran UFO incident was a radar and visual sighting of a UFO over the capital of Iran during the early morning hours of September 19th, 1976. During the incident, two Imperial Iranian Air Force F-4 Phantom II jet interceptors reported losing instrumentation and communications as they approached the object. These were restored upon withdrawal. One of the aircraft also reported a temporary weapons systems failure while the crew was preparing to open fire. How many times have we heard that story, Jimmy?
Every time.
Every time. I think it's almost every show we do with any country that we cover. This is a consistent theme. You have military Airplanes, military jets, they see a UFO, they want to shoot at it. Their weapon system doesn't work. Sometimes it's caught on radar, sometimes it's not. But then you're also having just all these different types of malfunctions with the aircraft as well. As one of the pilots approached the light, which was a man by the name of Jafari, described it as flashing with intense red, green, orange, and blue lights so bright that I was not able to see its body. Its communication systems shut off as well. As he attempted to fire this infrared guided missile, he said his equipment shut down and only returned to normal after his jet moved away from the object. Jafari said he was startled by a round object which came out of the primary object and started coming straight toward him at a high rate of speed, almost as if it was a missile. But as Jafari attempted to fire, suddenly nothing worked. The weapons control panel was out and he lost all the instruments and the radio. When he could report to the tower control, that was only after he withdrawed from this UFO. And later on, he was able to state that the primary diamond shaped thing up there, that's what it looked like. And another bright object came out of it and headed directly toward the ground. Expectations were that it was going to explode, but nothing happened. It seemed to slow down and land gently on the ground, radiating a high, bright light. The next day, Jafari and his backseat officer flew in a helicopter to look at where they thought the light hit the ground, but nothing was found. With occupants of nearby houses only reported hearing a loud noise and a bright flash of light during the night.
Now, I want you to share my screen. Oh, hold on, Christina. That's an F4 Phantom. Okay, so the picture that you had up earlier was either an F-14 or an F-18. I didn't, but this is an F-4 Phantom, and I think this was from the Iranian Air Force right here. This image, but this is one of my favorite planes of all time, and this is what was scrambled in 1976. There was also. I know this case pretty well. I think most of us do. There's a lot of documentation. We have, military pilots and witnesses, but the United States also got involved. We had the radar collection. And I know that the United States Air Force showed up on the scene and got involved in this case too, as well. And I think that in as far as UFO history goes and ufology, this is one of the cases that is often cited because of the amount of information, both on the ground and in the air. The weapons and communication malfunction on the planes multiple times. All of this it's just a well documented case, and one that the United States was involved in directly too as well. And it's just a fascinating UFO sighting and interference. It was almost a takedown.
Well, according to the US journalist Philip J. Klass, it was likely the pilots initially saw Jupiter.
Yeah, Jupiter. That's Philip Class. So there you go. That's my answer there. He was an instrument of the CIA, and he was always part of directly an instrument of the CIA, and was constantly. It doesn't matter who or what. He was defaming and attempting to embarrass and debunk anything and everything when it came to UFOs. So. And you
Yes,
just
it's
look at his picture and know that he wasn't a cool dude.
no, he wasn't. Hi, Chris. So good to see you from the debrief.
Hmm.
So glad you could make it.
What did he say? Hold on. Christina and Jimmy have really found a great rhythm working together. Show just keeps getting better and better. That's Christina. She's found her, she's found her thing.
Hey, it took a year, but we got here. Here we are.
Man,
Still little mistakes here and there, but we're making our way through.
I had many sleepless nights going, it's never gonna gel. It's never
That is, you've never thought that.
I'm just, see, here's the thing, Christina. Once you, and it doesn't matter what it is. You could be a high jumper. You could be knitting scarves.
I wanted to be a high jumper in high school.
Christina, you're 4'2". Oh, you were going to be a low jumper. But see, here's the thing. Let me continue. No matter what it is, whatever thing, but there comes a moment where you go, I think I got this. And you get comfortable, and then you stop thinking about everything else, and then you're just in the zone. And that's where you are. You're in the zone. So forget about pronunciation. Yeah. Just forget about that. I can mess you up completely. I could do it. There's a joke. I won't do this to you. I'll do it next week. But there's a thing with a golfer, right? And so you go, if you ever want to win any bet while playing golf, you go up and you go, man, let's play $100 a hole. Okay. $100 a hole, $10 a hole. All right. But first tee box, your buddy is getting ready to hit, right? And he's doing his practice swings. And this is what you do. Hey, man, in your backswing, do you inhale or exhale? That's all you got to say.
Those little seeds of doubt.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You've just won 18 holes. And see, I could do that. I could do that with you. I could make you self-conscious on everything. But no, you've come into your own. And thank you, Chris, for saying that, because it's really true. Once you cross that thing and your confidence is there, you're done. You're just going to be great forever, and you're going to continue to grow. And well, no, I mean that. I think that you a couple of months ago, I started to kick back and go, man, this is great. This is great. She's found herself. So anyway, back to Tehran. Didn't the United States Air Force get involved?
I didn't see that in my research, but it's a possibility. It seems that the United States, whenever they hear any type of UFO sighting in any part of the world, they're there. The US, they come up and they're like, yeah, we want all the information on that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case for this incident as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's look at the clock. We've got a couple of other things. Oh, we've got many. So let's see what we can squeeze in next. Let's go with no. We got to go Mecca. Let's go
Mecca.
Yes,
All right, let's do it.
It's like the biggest story. It's the biggest one. It's the biggest ET origin story too, as well, if you ask me. Let's discuss Mecca and the Black Rock.
There's a lot of questions.
Is that crazy?
It is.
Now hover your little mouse over the corner of the Black Rock.
This corner?
No, your mouse. Yeah. Where everybody goes and touches it. No, it's down on
right here. Yes. Yeah. You just said a corner, and there's a lot of corners.
Is that yes. It? That's it right there?
There is.
Probably,
it's this one. It's this one.
It's the back one. There it is. There it is.
Yeah, right here.
That is just crazy town to me. Okay, what's the story here? What's the story? I've got my version. I want to hear yours.
Okay, so the nature of the black stone has been much debated. It has been described variously as basalt stone, a piece of natural glass, or most popularly, a stony meteorite. Apparently, this the Kaaba was originally white, but because so many people have touched it, it turned black. And now there is a black cloth that covers the Kaaba as well to keep it protected. Many geologists across the world have tried their best to attempt to test the stone, but due to religious restrictions and cultural restrictions, they are not allowed to drill for scientific purposes. It was said to be first built by angels, while others say that Adam first created it,
Hmm.
and then it was rebuilt by the prophet Abraham, and
Hmm.
then it's been rebuilt about 12 times since, the last one being in 1996 to strengthen the foundation. But before then, it wasn't touched for over 400 years, which is,
Now, you know what's fascinating? Millions, right? And I believe now. I'm not an expert in Islam, and so please, but I believe, isn't it the one thing that you need to do in your life is go on the walk and touch that stone, right?
yeah, a pilgrimage.
Yeah, isn't that's like to complete your life, right? And to watch the I think it's fascinating to have that kind of commitment and that journey and the pilgrimage and I just think it's honorable. It's amazing to me. But to go up and touch it. Now, when you see the stone itself, it's worn out, right? And now it's worn out. Can you imagine? It's millions and millions and millions of fingers every year that just touch it, and it's going to get worn down, and it's been that way for a long time. But the origin stories to this, and we have the modern version now where we can see it in video and what happens. But the origin stories are this has been around since Adam and Eve, right? Now
That's right.
that's pretty fascinating. It was described by European travelers to Arabia in the 19th and early 20th centuries who visited the Kaaba, disguised as pilgrims, right? And Swiss traveler John Ludwig Burchard visited Mecca in 1814, and he described it as an irregular oval about 7 inches in diameter with an undulated surface composed of about a dozen smaller stones of different sizes and shapes. Now, I've seen some pictures of it, these early photographs, because today you can't get close to it. You can't see it. It's an impossible thing to do. But when you go back to these early reports, he said that it was glued together, that it was he thought that it was blown apart at some point, blown up, and then glued back together with cement. And he said that it was also all of the joints now were perfectly smoothed over, and even though it had been broken apart with a violent blow, it is now united and glued together, but worn smooth, all of those joints. Visiting the Kaaba in 1853, Richard Francis Burton said the color appeared to be black and metallic, and the center of the stone was sunk about 2 inches below the metallic circle. Rounded were the sides, but it was a reddish brown cement that had joined everything together, almost level with the metal and sloping down to the middle of the stone. The band is now a massive arch of gold or silver gilt. He said he found that the aperture, the hole in the middle of the stone, was a span of about 3 fingers wide, the opening. So it's now covered with silver and gold, and you only have this little opening in the center exposing the stone itself. Ritter von Loren, the Austrian consul general in Egypt, was able to inspect the fragment of the stone removed by Muhammad Ali in 1817, not that Muhammad Ali, and reported that it had a pitch black exterior and a silver gray, fine grained interior in which tiny cubes, listen to this, of bottle green material were embedded. There are reportedly a few white or yellow spots on the face of the stone, and it is officially described as being white, with the exception of the face. But we'll never know. Nobody now can get close enough to it, and there's not going to be any scientific analysis done. Okay, you're muted. You muted yourself.
And not anytime soon, and it will be interesting to see what the components truly are that create this Kaaba, because a lot of us have questions. Now, while there is a lot of speculation that it is something natural, and again, it has been rebuilt at least 12 times, give or take, it would be nice to know what's really going on, and I find it really unfortunate that due to cultural and religious restrictions, the scientists can't take any of the stone for scientific purposes, which I think in a sense might benefit the people to know the real origin of that stone.
Yeah, I want to see what's under the cloth.
Yeah, there are pictures of what's inside, and it's just like another room, and there's videos as well.
Oh, I haven't
Beautifully.
seen that. Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, it's like it's a hollow building. It's not just a stone. It was carved inside, and you're able to see like lampshades with cabinets that have holy items inside them as well.
Now, can we jump? Let's go from Mecca. I'm looking at the clock. One of
Now we
my
got
fa-
15 minutes.
we have 15 minutes. What
We got
clock do you
15
have?
minutes. 14, 13 minutes. I was estimating.
Okay, all right. The Turkish UFO, the video.
Ooh.
Can we do
So
that?
yes, I have a nice, very short clip of it. The original video is rather long, so I have a like 15-second clip just to go ahead and show, but also have the photos as well. So
Mm,
let me
mm.
share that. And while I share the video, Jimmy, give
Yes.
us a rundown.
I okay. Now I haven't seen which video you're going to show here. There are two sets of videos that were shot about a year apart from the shores of Turkey, and I believe that Doctor Lear, the podiatrist, the alien implant guy, took part in the filming of these videos, and they're at a great distance. Yeah, here we go. Now, this is, I was going to say this is June of 2007. Well, there it is right there, June 22nd, 2007. And this is Crazy Town. I have watched, is that it? Is that,
Yeah, I just made it really short for people to just kind of get a feel, but I do have the pictures and I will pull those up as well.
now
And
they shot this video all night. All night. And I have watched hours and hours of this video. This is amazing to me. It's just I really don't know what to think. I remember. Okay, do you have a breakdown of the information behind this video?
yes, I do. But first, Keith, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate everyone supporting the channel and participating with us live, and just thank you so much. But going to this story, we're looking the man that filmed this was Yassil Yaman, and he worked as a night watchman when he recorded this UFO hovering nearby. And so he even showed his secondhand camera to the media in a press conference in Istanbul. And his video quickly went viral due to the authenticity confirmed by numerous experts and witnesses who saw the same object at the time of filming.
Hmm.
Some skeptics stated that Yalman shot the top of the private yacht
Hmm.
that was present at the horizon between the sea and the sky,
Hmm.
and the figures in the image could be humans in Halloween costumes partying on the ship at that time.
Yeah, yeah. It just happened to be an alien Halloween party on the deck of the ship. But that's a very important point to this. This was shot, hence the shakiness of it, 12 miles away on the horizon, the edge of the ocean. There, they shot this from the shore, the beach area in Turkey, and I think they shot in the southern direction. But okay, putting all that aside, I have looked at this so many times. I don't know if it's been 100 or 1,000. I don't see the deck of a ship. It doesn't look that way to me. I can't figure that part out. The opening in the middle, there you go, where these two creatures, these two people are, that just doesn't look like the deck of a ship to me. It looks like anything but. But then when you blow it up and you see that, the two alien creatures there, or whoever, whatever you want to call them, they look very ET like, and it just doesn't look like the deck of a ship, unless it's the deck of an alien flying saucer ship. But yeah, it's one of the great cases, and I think they shot this a year, another set of video, a year apart. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 6 months.
To my understanding, this is the most famous footage that was recorded in June of 2008, but he did mention that there were other videos that were shot a short time afterwards, but nothing was as, I would say, prevalent as this one where he captured what seems to be extraterrestrials in his footage. And I think the key point to this story is that the video has been authenticated. It so it goes to show that it wasn't done in post, it's not CGI. Could it be a yacht? Yeah, I guess, but it doesn't really look that way. We don't have the answers on if this is really an alien craft, but it
Hmm.
is something that's rather fascinating. And even in 2008, the shape of this craft, you're able to see it pretty well compared to the typical blobs that we're still getting in 2022, where people they see a UFO in the sky, they get their phone out, and what do they see? A dot. In this case, you see a craft.
It's just amazing footage. And I used to just sit and freeze frame it. I would watch it for hours and looking at it. I remember way before the alien was identified. I saw the alien. I remember the first time I was like, "Wait a minute, what? What is going on here?" And I screen grabs and did everything I could to blow it up, and it looked to me to be a gray alien standing there, like piloting the ship, right, and sitting there. All of that came out months later through the analysis, but I think it's crystal clear. It's just one of the best pieces of video footage in all of ufology. I still love this case.
And also, we're looking at really modern times. 2008 was not that long ago. So it just goes to show that I guess we need to go back to camcorders to catch UFOs instead of using our most advanced iPhones. But it was not the first time when the Turkish people were surprised by alien activities. In 2001, a farmer met with an alien in the village of Narli. He responded by throwing stones at the alien until the creature disappeared in the air. And the next bizarre claim comes from the Turkish singer Reyhan Karaka, who represented Turkey at the Eurovision Song Contest in 1991. She told the Turkish newspaper about her abduction story in 2009. And according to her, the aliens were friendly and only communicated to her telepathically.
Now, before we run out of time, that's Turkish. We got to do Jerusalem. We got to do over the Temple Rock, and that that footage. Okay, so I remember. I'm so comfortable. I've got my socks on. I just took my sandals off, and I'm just in a great mood. When this broke with Art Bell, and I had some. I had a tablet, and I was watching the video. We had. Do we have the video, Christina?
I have it.
Okay, give me. You got to give me the. So okay, so I remember watching this. This is 11 years ago, and I remember Art Bell. So I've got this, the most incredible video I have ever seen. It's a UFO over, and I thought, no way, right? And I watched this video, and when it does the first jump, which you just showed here, right? When it does it the first time, it was like, what? And so what ended up happening here where there were, here's another one, that this was shown from multiple cameras, from multiple views and vantage points around Jerusalem, apparently showing this craft. It wasn't just one camera. It was from multiple views. Okay. What do you have on it before we run out of time? What are the facts of the case?
I can tell you that now. There's very little about it other than it went viral in 2011 over Jerusalem in and it a bunch of different countries covered this video on their mainstream news outlets. And you were able to see it in real time and you're able to see it in slow-mo. You have this orb-like thing, and maybe it could have been a more definitive shape, but based off that video, just like a little ball thing. It hovers over a temple. It sits there for a few seconds. Then you see this light kind of emit pretty brightly, and then it shoots up like a rocket. And as you had mentioned, it was recorded by multiple people. This isn't just one angle. There are a bunch of different angles of that same sighting in 2011. But what do you know
Okay.
about
Well,
the sighting?
now let's fast forward. Okay. Um, it was a hoax. And so the crazy part about this, I mean, art got taken in, everybody did, the media got taken in, I did. But as it turned out, if you look at the videos themselves of you got a group of people at some vantage point overlooking Jerusalem, and they're sitting there talking, having a good time. Oh, what is that? Oh, you get this reaction thing. They went around to multiple points and shot the video B-roll. Right. Okay. And so they videoed themselves reacting to it. There was nothing there. And then they went back and added the object from these multiple views and then released it out. And all of that was exposed later. They did it themselves. They exposed themselves and described how they did it. And this was a couple of years after the fact. But for that 2, 3, 4 month period, everybody thought that it was real. And the reason why was because of the multiple views that apparently were shot independently. And no, it was all the same people shooting it at the same time. So, but there you go. It was just a hoax, but we all took it hook, line, and sinker. Christina, I had my little iPad or my tablet, and I was outside. I'll never forget this. And I'm listening to Coast to Coast, and in my car, I have my tablet with me, and Art says, "Here's the video." And I went and the first time that I saw it, I had the same reaction that Art did. Whoa, right? Because this thing jumps up, and Art says it's real, so we all thought it was real, and the media jumped on it, and there you go. There's a lot of information on how they hoaxed it now on the internet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the more you know. That is I've
I'm not
heard.
bumming you out. I hope I'm not bumming you out. I think all of us understand now that the Jerusalem video was just a project done by a group of graphic designers in Jerusalem.
Well, that just goes to show that it makes it more difficult for us. I mean, as you know, it's exhausting to us researchers to decipher what's true and what's not, what's been fabricated. And that's just another example of that. So I think that in modern times, it's more difficult now than ever.
Yeah, oh, completely. I just watched. Oh, bring up Stargazer's comment. You see it right there? Yeah, pull that up. Now, the turkey video of the craft, I do absolutely believe. Yes. Right. That's a
It
good way to put it. That's a good
it
way to put
seems
it.
so much more validated though, that one.
I just watched a news report. It was breaking news yesterday of it was an investment firm. I don't want to get into the details of it, but what was fascinating about it were the criminals that went and took the CFO, the CEO of this investment bank, took videos of his face and did deep fakes, and then went and participated in Zoom meetings with investors and played the video like he was part of the Zoom meeting. And they it was a heist. And so it was later disclosed, and I was reading the news reports about this yesterday, and it's so good today, Christina. You can fake anything. You can not only with a deep fake or add, there is a software. You can buy an app for your phone to add a UFO to your video,
Mhm.
right? Right there on your
You can do
phone.
it through TikTok, you can do it through Snapchat. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So
easily available.
it's so easy to do. And it's getting, look, it's only going to get better and more sophisticated. It's not going to get worse. It's going to get better. And it's really hard to tell. The guy that does the Tom Cruise videos,
Mhm.
do you know his name?
No,
Okay.
but I know who you're referring to.
Oh, he is just amazing, man. And you know, it's done funny. It's comedy. It's satire. But there will be a point where it's going to be a weird situation, right? Where you're going to have a video of Biden, or a U.S. president coming on. The aliens are attacking. They are here. And that's and what are we going to do when that goes down and there's panic in the streets because of some doofus that did a deep fake that is so good that you can't tell the difference. So that's where we are.
It's we're living in a really weird time, and I think that's why we need to strengthen this community and to be knowledgeable in it so that we don't fall into the muddy waters of something that we think is true when it's an absolute hoax. And we can only do that with doing research and doing shows like these where we can talk it out and understand the other person's point of view. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on the show today. Today is a fader night on Fade to Black, so
Yeah,
make sure to call in.
I'm actually going to have fader night tonight. I'm not flying to the Bahamas. I'm not flying to Fiji tonight. And so, we are actually going to have fader night, and it's my favorite night of the week. So I'm going to get out of here. Christina, another fantastically great show. Thank you so much. I'll see everybody over on Fade to Black a little bit later. Thank you, Christina.
Bye, Jimmy. Thank you to everyone that watched this show live. Thank you to all the moderators, all the super chats, super stickers, YouTube members, Patreon subscribers. As always, this simply could not be done without you and your support. Make sure to like this video. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and share it with those who have the same interest. Tomorrow, Strange Paradigms at 3 p.m. PST, where I'll cover all the strange weekly news and mysterious headlines from around the world. So make sure to hit the notification bell if you are watching this on YouTube. I want to wish you all a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.